roll call vote on that. Roll call vote. I vote yes for Margaret. Carol?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Lauren?
Yes.
And Margaret?
Yes.
Great, thank you. Excellent. That is really good. Well, let's go back to Ed, are you running here or are you here for a while?
I know I have another meeting.
Okay, great. So let's get to the Friends report and the request.
Thank
Do
you.
we need to do roll call now after
Oh,
the
well-
elections?
No, we've kind of just been doing it all along. I guess are we better? So,
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
so Chris can run that then.
Sure. I'll do roll call. Patrick,
Here.
Carol,
Present.
Lauren,
Here.
Margaret,
Here.
Chris is here. Ruby. All right.
She's absent. So let's see here. Let's just jump right into Friends report. If there is one.
If there are any major announcements that need to be made, and you'd like to do that first, why don't you go ahead?
Let's do that. I'm gonna turn this over to, we're gonna skip for a second to the director's report.
I guess the big news is that I am moving on. My last day is tomorrow. I am going to be joining the Los Alamos National Lab in New Mexico as a research librarian for the historical documents ranging from the Manhattan Project onwards. It's kind of one of those once in a lifetime opportunities that uses both my PhD background and my library background. And conveniently, my family lives in New Mexico these days. So we're going to be moving closer to my family. It has been 10 years with the Great Barrington Libraries, 8 as director and then 2 as librarian. So it's also a hard departure because I've made many friends and my colleagues, and of course the patrons too that I have met along the way. So I will miss everybody, but I am excited about this new opportunity too. I am leaving you in the hands of Donna and Talia. They're going to kind of run the show while the search for director goes on. So they'll both be responsible, for different parts, but I have trained them up. I have left them with tons of notes, and they know they can contact me too if they run into trouble. So thank you all. It has been a pleasure.
And to you, it's first of all, congratulations, because that's a world-class
Yeah, that's a great gig.
organization. That's not small. I mean, that's huge. I mean, that's
Wonderful.
yeah. I mean, that's
Thank
just an
you.
amazing situation. So I mean, I feel sorry for us, but not for you.
Did anybody get contacted for her security clearance?
That will be coming. I mean, I
Oh,
had
is
to
it?
go background check, but then yeah, I have to get Q clearance. So you may get a phone call.
Yeah, I had that happen one time with a former student of mine, and it was the middle of summer, and 2 guys with black suits appeared at my door, and they started asking all kinds of questions, but not about that person. And it was weird. I kept thinking, what did I do? And then after they asked me all these questions and meant nothing, then they got down to it, that he was for a high security clearance. And it was incredible though. I mean, I was surprised. So they were going that far back in his background to his student days. But I'm sure you're clean. I'm not so sure he was, but that's another story. But anyway, thank you. There's times when those words aren't adequate, I think, and this is one of them. I mean, we have deep appreciation, especially for this COVID stretch. This has been hard on every human being on the planet, but in a position we were in with dealing with the public and everything else, it's the magnitude of that is beyond comprehension. So yeah, and we're gonna miss you. Ed, yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna tell you Ruby's there, but you got her.
Yeah.
I got her.
Okay.
Oh,
I
okay,
have a
Ruby.
quick question, Amanda.
Mhm.
Are either Talia or Donna eligible for the director job, or neither of them were ever in that, like, in that line or of interest?
Neither one of them has a library degree,
Okay.
but they have other skills that would lend themselves to it. But I don't believe at this point either one of them is interested.
Okay. Yeah, and I didn't know if they had the library degree or if they needed it for the directors.
You don't need it per se, but there is some certification you have to go through if you don't have it.
Right, okay, just curious.
Amanda, who's going to take your, the shoes that you really can't fill? And that's running our Zoom meetings here.
That will probably have to talk to Mark and Amy about to see if there is a way. Yeah, have to see how that would.
And so you're not sure who will represent the staff at these meetings?
Yeah, I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure
So
if
that's
they'll trade
Mark.
off or what.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
We can come back to, first of all, does anybody else have anything you want to add at this point? I know we're all a little speechless.
No, just that I'm really happy for you. I think that sounds like a really great gig, and New Mexico is awesome. Maybe
Thank
at the
you.
moment it's a little bit sketchy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
um, But
yeah, but better hope they have a fireproof library, yeah.
Yeah.
So what we can do now, let's so that Ed can move on here. We'll come back to the rest of your report, which is obviously, that's the biggest part of it there. So Ed, why don't you can go ahead.
Okay. Well, we've started putting the books out on the rolling racks on the weekends, and again, there's always people there from the moment I come out till 5 or 6 whenever I get around to bringing them in. It's kind of hard to bring them in. I'd have to okay, finish that rack, and then I'll. So it's been again very popular. Lots of books move. We make less money this time of year than when we're in full tourist season. I don't want to cast aspersions on us locals, but I think we're less generous. So that's been really successful. The chairs have been delightful to watch. People are sitting in them, especially on weekends when the books are out. There was a group of 4, I would say older, they were probably my age guys, who meet here in Great Barrington periodically. 3 are from Boston, 1 is from New York. They were just sitting there loving it. So it's been great. The trustees paid for the money you gave us was $1,000, paid for about half of it. The friends paid the other half. I want to get 6 more to put some at a few more out in front of the Mason, but to make sure we also have some in front of the Ramsdell. So I would love to ask the trustees to kick in as much as you feel comfortable kicking, and the friends can do the rest. We bought them locally at Barrington Outfitters, and they assemble them, deliver them. They were wonderful.
Ed, do you know if those are the same chairs? There's about literally a few hundred chairs at the intersection there of Route 22 and 203 in towards New Lebanon.
Oh,
I mean,
I didn't
literally,
know.
there's they're out there, those same chairs that are at the good ones.
So these are durable. They have several kinds there. I market tested them by having Holly get in and out, so she was able to get up, because a lot of Adirondack chairs are kind of rough that way. And so these are not hard to get out of.
And so do you have a ballpark? We can talk offline about this, but how much they were?
Yeah, it was
chair?
just a hair over 2,000 for 6. Is that right, Amanda? Do you remember? Yeah.
2,000 for 6.
Right. So I'd love to get another 6 if you guys want to put in, either we can split it in half again. If
Yeah.
that works.
So Jane is not here for a report, but Amanda, on the state aid, where are we right now?
Sure. So there is currently 24,944 in state aid, and there is money and donations in both Mason and Ramsdell too. So there's
Okay.
about 23,000 in Mason donations and about 12,500 in Ramsdell donations.
Yeah, I would suggest we split it, just because I know I've had a couple of complaints this week about people not happy with the laptops. I think it was the laptops, must have been in Ramsdell, of just being clunky and old and everything else, and they didn't find it usable. Now, I'm not sure if it was the configuration of it or if it's just the machines are old. They're probably old, yes?
No, they're brand new.
They're brand new. Also, maybe they're just not configured right then, right?
That could be, they might need updates. I know
Okay, all right.
if
well,
they
that's good.
haven't been used in a while, then Windows and its lovely update cycle, it can make them very slow.
Yeah. Why don't, we can do more, but it'd be great if we could just split that, because I think we
Yeah,
need
that's fine.
some movable racks. There's some other stuff we kind of need. which we have to take a look at. So I guess we're gonna authorize, do we know what the cost would be then? For those today?
You could say not more than 1,200. It was like, I think it
Okay.
was 2,000. It was less than 2,100.
Okay,
So if you make it not more than 1,200, we'll just cut it in half.
all right, let's say not more than 1,200. So that's the buy chairs, it's for both libraries, and which is great. It's great, because Ramsdale needs them too. So is there a second for that?
I have a question before. My question is, since this wasn't a competitive bid and he's a local retailer, have you negotiated to see if the next batch, they might want to give us a little more of a discount?
We can ask him. He couldn't even tell us how long it would take to get them. So they
Mhm.
did the assembly and delivery for free, but that when we did ask them, and that was, we'll ask again. They're usually, like when we bought the ping pong table, they were very good.
Yeah. Doesn't hurt, since it's good,
yeah.
it's good advertising for them too.
Yeah,
Since we're gonna go and buy a second batch, why not at least ask? Because it's
will.
not, there's no competition here.
that,
Not
that's,
like, sometimes you have to get a purchase order and do bidding, and it sounds like this didn't happen.
right. We don't need to
Yeah.
at this
All right.
point.
Okay.
Carol, that's a great idea, because at least this way it's a
At
good
least
negotiation.
ask, it's
Yeah.
good PR
Yeah.
for them. And they're right nearby. And, people ask where they get the chairs, just send them right down the street to their store.
And Ed, if there is a manufacturer, I'm happy just to make some other calls to just, so we have an idea of what a bid might be. I don't know if there may not be any names on those chairs, though, as far as brand. Okay, so let's go back. We need a second still for this here. Is there a second?
A second,
That was Margaret?
Lauren. Sorry,
Lauren.
yeah,
Lauren, oh, great. Okay, Lauren seconded. Okay, any discussion? Any further discussion? Yeah.
I'm sorry, I haven't been, I've driven by the chairs, but haven't actually gone to them. So are they wood or are they that newfangled combination?
That, the new stuff. Yeah.
Oh, that's neat. So they'll last a good long while.
As long as, and they're kind of heavy, so we're assuming they won't walk away, but we're hoping.
And
Let's
I've
see.
sat in them, and most of those chairs like that, they're just hard to get out of for almost everybody. And these, you somehow, I'm not sure what they've done to them, but they're much, much easier to get out of, which is, I think, the best part of it. So we're back to any other discussion on that? Okay, there's no further discussion. Yes, Chris, you could read the motion on this. So the motion is.
All right, so I have a motion to approve no more than $1,200 for the purchase of 6 Adirondack chairs from Barrington Outfitters, and seconded by LC. All right, and we'll move to a vote. Carol?
Yeah.
Yes.
Margaret?
Yes,
Patrick?
Yes.
Lauren?
yes,
Ruby?
Here, yes.
And yes for me as well.
Yeah.
Motion approved.
Yeah. Okay. And then we can still work with them on the pricing of that too, because they could probably, maybe the second round, they can help us a little bit.
And then a couple more quick things. First, let me back up a minute and congratulate the 3 board members just elected, and especially the 2 new ones.
Yeah, absolutely.
So congratulations and thank you. As speaking now as a citizen,
Yeah.
thank you for stepping up. And I know it was a hard campaign, and I'm glad you all won. The tent, last year the Friends purchased 4 pop-up tents for outdoor children's programming, which was very popular except when it rained, because no matter how tightly we pushed the 4 tents together, rain would leak through the cracks in the middle. So we had the great idea of getting a tent designed to park a couple of cars under, which I put together with the help of a teenager who's stuck living in my home, so had no choice. So it's up. It was a very windy weekend and it stayed. So take a look back there, but it's big, it's nice, it's roomy, it's light, air circulates. So that's up. That was purchased by the Friends. And then are the front stairs on your list, Amanda? You may not even know about this.
I was given a drive-by notice about the stairs, but I know nothing else.
I just got off the phone with Mark before this meeting and I told him I was coming here, so I would let you know. The building inspector is concerned enough about the front stairs and the gaps between the marble that he wants to close them down until they can be repaired. Mark doesn't want to put up tape to make it look like a crime scene. So I suggested the planters that were on Railroad Street, which we're not going to need all of this year. So that the current plan, unless anyone has a better idea, is he'll put out the planters to block the stairs on the top and the bottom until they can get a bid and get it fixed, which I assume is a slightly less high priority than the air conditioner. So I'm sorry to be the bearer of that news.
Well, I'm not surprised. I went over there recently to really take a look at those stairs after the meeting with the historical commission.
Mhm.
And I don't remember his name, but the chair of the historical commission kept saying how the stairs were fine. The stairs were fine, the banisters were fine, everything was fine. It was historical. It had to stay just the way that it was. And anyway, I went and looked at it myself. Sorry, dogs barking. I went and looked at it myself and I thought, really? So I think it's a sad thing that they has to be closed off, but it's really a nightmare and an accident waiting to happen.
Yeah, so that it's on the list now.
Yeah.
That's all I have.
Thank you, Ed.
Thank you. I'm sorry to run. It's planning board's talking about housing.
No, that's good. Thank you.
Okay.
Looking forward to those chairs. And again, if you want to call me or something, happy to
Okay.
look around just to get the best price we can get. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Why don't we go back to Amanda, your final words?
My final words. I'm leaving the libraries in a good place. Circulation is still kind of going up. Visitors are kind of up and down. I do think people are being a bit more cautious again with the numbers rising, but you're still seeing people coming in. Most people are wearing masks still, which is great because obviously with the HVAC and now with it getting warmer, it's not the most pleasant place. Our newest part-time staff member, David, started on Tuesday. So as of right now, we are fully staffed for about a second.
Wow.
Yes. He is a great addition. He has been volunteering at the Monterey Library for the last
Great.
couple of years, so has quite a bit of knowledge of libraries, public libraries, and the circulation system. And he was also a bookseller for a while in his past years. So he is a great addition. The bid for the HVAC was reposted. Mark told me today that they posted it again. They haven't heard anything yet, but they have also reached out to a couple of contractors, and their engineer has reached out to a couple of contractors to kind of hopefully nudge them into applying. So at the moment, Steve at DPW is working on some plans on how to alleviate the heat if worse comes to worse and we can't get it replaced this year. I ordered a couple more fans just for the meantime. And the friends actually bought a couple of cooling fans for the circulation desk.
Great.
So they use water to help keep the staff cool. In addition to the steps, DPW actually mulched and pruned the grounds at both Mason and Ramsdale, like did a full scale mulching, which they have never done. So right now the beds look beautiful at both places. The lawn, well, Ramsdale's lawn looks better than Mason's lawn, but that will probably be addressed later when the statue happens, and obviously with the step repair now too. I have the list of all of the kind of repair-y stuff saved on my computer, and Donna will tell you know where it is so that the next DPW person will have it too. And that has everything to date. The steps were actually on that list and have been for a couple of years because the grout was deteriorating a couple of years ago. And they've just been pushed and pushed, and now they are where they are. The only other thing I really wanted to put on your guys' radar is that the hotspot program that the MBLC had funded the funding runs out in September. So there are a couple of webinars. There's one next week that Donna or Talia or both are going to attend with some options on how to continue the program afterwards, whether we do it through the provider, which is T-Mobile, or if we go through TechSoup, which serves nonprofits, and we can get like the same device, similar network for a cheaper cost. So they will be gathering the information on that, and there'll be more information coming about our options on that. They have definitely been popular. Like of the 6 at Mason, when I checked today, there's just 1 available. And I know it's been the same at Ramsdell. So they have done their duty. Right now, that's not in the library budget, but it's possible. There are possible places where it could come out until it could be added in as a permanent line item.
That's great. Do you know, is there any improvement or not improvement? Are we back to getting the papers at Ramsdell?
Yes,
far as
I can't
Globe
get
and-
the New York Times.
Right.
However, I can get the Boston Globe.
What, they're not delivering in
Yep, New York Times won't deliver out in Housatonic. But I can get the Boston Globe on the weekend, and then I believe we're going to get a Wednesday Boston Globe as well.
Okay, so why don't we could actually just pick it up at the former Aberdale's there,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Maybe we can make a something, have just a permanent with them, to pick up a New York Times,
Mhm.
because that's at least the Sunday Times. But
Yeah.
that's insane, really? Wow.
I know, it's really bizarre. And like the news service that we used to use has just been atrocious with trying to deliver to Ramsdell too. And
Okay.
yeah. And I was like, okay, I'll look elsewhere. And then I found out that the New York Times will not actually deliver.
Amanda, how would we do this? In other words, if I paid the store in Housatonic to get it, and then just put a receipts in with the town or with the library?
There's 2 different ways you could do it. You could talk to whoever now owns Aberdale's and see if they could do like a monthly invoice.
Yeah.
That gets sent to Ramsdell, and then we would pay them directly.
Okay.
Or you do it your way, where we would petty cash it to you, and then
Okay.
on our end we would then submit it for payment.
Boy, that's just that's mind blowing, actually.
It
Okay,
is. I was
I'll somehow
flabbergasted.
get that going, because it's people. That was one thing that some drove people into Ramsdell, especially on Sundays. Just the fact that the paper was there was a huge, and savings. It's so expensive now. A lot of people can't fork over $6 for one paper, and actually Globe is probably the same price. So at least if we have 2 of those, we're in good shape.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's great. Let's see. So just as far
Eileen has her hand up.
Eileen. Oh, Eileen. Yeah. Eileen, go ahead. Eileen, your hand. Oh, she's muted right now. And both, there you
There
go.
she goes.
Go ahead, Eileen.
Okay, I'm muted. I just wanted to say goodbye. I'm sorry about Amanda, but I had to go to planning board.
Oh,
So
okay.
goodbye.
Well, go get them there.
Okay,
Thank you, Eileen.
Bye, Eileen.
bye.
Amanda, probably when you get a chance, I don't know when, you're going to be so hectic, frantic before you leave. But at some point, if you can just maybe reflect back on your time here and tell us what, you probably have a good idea what we should be doing, thinking forward. You're going to be in the best position when you're not here. So you would think, oh, this should happen next, or that should have happened before. That'd be really helpful, because this does put us at a huge inflection for the libraries. All this stuff at once. We've got new board members. You're leaving, so we have leadership. A little bit of a vacuum at top. We've got massive work that needs to be done in both libraries at a time when we're kind of getting into a funny recessionary period. So again, your wisdom on this, when you get a chance, just to and you can be frank with actually, because you won't be here, you can you can let it rip if you want to. But whatever you can help us with on that would be most appreciated.
Definitely. Actually, once I'm done and kind of out of that mode, like I do have thoughts and
That would be great.
things that I think would be good for you guys to work on and enlist your help with.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I had next steps down here anyway. But, part of the situation here is that the trustees, not that we need control over everything, but we have control over like nothing. When we need the work done on the buildings and it doesn't get listened to. So it's not like this in every town. Some towns may be worse than we have it. But I think there's got to be structurally a way to look at this. Where some of these things are falling on your head that wasn't getting done, where I know other towns, the trustees are the ones that really come down on people. So I think that's one thing. That's why so many things don't get fixed, frankly. Because, these people, they're your boss. So if you want to stay in their good graces, it's a limit of how far you can push people above you, I mean, in any business. So that's one thing. I don't know if that involves the town charter, which is a long range situation, but I'm not so sure if you look at just all the maintenance and things that occur. I think there must be a better way than just to dump everything on your lap, or with a charter, it's dumped on Mark's lap. So it's like, I don't know if that makes any sense. But it's odd when I wrote this agenda, I put next steps. It wasn't thinking about Amanda going. It was just about the next steps for the board. So we've got a lot to think about. Ruby, welcome. It's good to see you there. Carol, we're glad you guys are here. I have a few things I'll have to figure out how to get them to you. One, it's called a Trustees Handbook. There's the Massachusetts Library Commissioners are wonderful, incredible resource for things, really incredible. There's actually a new trustee orientation. There's a couple of them coming up in early June. Perhaps you can just attend them online. They used to be live, but they're full of information, and it's just interesting to hear statewide how these things are going. Some of the problems we have were very similar. Some of the problems back east have had enormous problems, political problems with their towns. Just I think Dedham, the entire trustees quit at the same time. They said, that's it, we're all out of here. So there's some
How do
fairly,
we get the handbook, Pat?
yeah, I have to figure out how to get that to you. I can either, Carol, I can leave yours at Ramsdale, and Ruby,
Okay,
they're really, it's like a cheat sheet of regulations and stuff. It's very small.
if you leave it at Ramsdale, that'd be great. I can pick it up
Yeah,
there.
well,
Thank you.
so that's a good place to start, is with this. Then we also have, at both libraries, probably there's the, and Amanda, where would this be in Mason? The study that we did in 2018.
It is-
Rob's report.
Yep, it's still in the main reading room where like the government information is.
And in both libraries?
Yep.
Great.
Yeah.
So that is full of great information. And even though it says that doesn't circulate, Amanda, can we make it so that they could just take those out for now?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, it's full of great stuff. And that it was actually literally this time in 2018, we had a really tremendous study done. There was 8 focus groups with the community, and it was trying to just sort out, particularly with Ramsdale, what it could be. And it was a great report. And we haven't been in a position to follow those things because, first of all, COVID kind of took us out of pretty much everything. But now that's one of the things we have to kind of get back on track on. There were suggestions, even, for example, that we should have an area of the classic literature that's from our area. And so there's these things we have to find a way to promote them somehow. So we'll just kind of go back to what we've already worked on and try to pick up the pieces and move it from there. So if anybody has any ideas on this stuff, we should look at it, but it will be great to refresh our memories with that report that was done. It was really great, actually. And so I think if we use that as a starting point, we can see what we should do. I'm not sure with the architect plans for Ramsdale there. I've heard nothing from the town as far as what the approval process is. I've heard from a few people. Eileen was one, frankly, that thought there should be a railing. The entire thing should have a railing for people with small children, for people that have a bad knee. And that adds quite a bit of cost onto it from what I understand. I showed it to another architect. He said, it's up to code what was wrong. You can have an elevation of 1 inch for 20 feet or something. So that's acceptable code without the railing, but I'm inclined to agree in the wintertime, concrete slippery. So that's one thing. And a few other people mentioned they didn't like the idea of a concrete wall without some kind of veneer on it or something, because they just felt it's going to look bad soon. And that just seemed to be, it's too close to the church. That's a historic church. Have this concrete thing there. So that would be something we'd have to go back and ask for what other possibilities. And then we got to look at the entire design, because the library commissioners have stepped up their game during COVID, and they said we should be preparing for future problems, future pandemics, and one is access and things like that. So we have to take another look at. We had the study done for a potential driveway there that would come around in a U. You could have a book drop, and maybe another way that people could get books without getting out of their car and all of that, if we have another situation where we have to close down things. So we've got to take another look at that, because that's what the library commissioners are saying now. And anything we do, we have to think about future issues like we've just been through. And so that's what we've got on that. Anybody else have any thoughts?
So Pat, what?
Yep.
I mean, where do we stand on this? I mean, that was an architect's drawing, but is this something that, I mean, I thought it was something that we would be involved in, and we weren't even like
right
asked about it. Like, so what do we do to, shall I say, insert ourselves in this situation?
Yeah, I guess what we can do is we can invite Mark to come back in to talk to us, because I think he has to sign anything that occurs. But I think that in light of the design meeting happened way before COVID. And so I think, unfortunately, we pretty much need to take into account these pandemic changes in architectures for public buildings. So that's one thing right away that's going to make it kind of a little bit obsolete. And Rob's original idea was, and I actually have a picture of a library in, I don't know if it's Turner Falls or where it is. It looks just like Ramsdale, but there's an entrance that's really towards the back of the building with a ramp, and they've obscured the ramp with landscaping, so you really don't see it. And then back there's a few spots for parking for handicapped or whatever. So it may be that's still the best way to do it.
Well, I mean, there's been lots of better ideas than what this firm came up with that we were presented with. You know what I mean? So but my question is, where do we go from here? Do we invite Mark?
Yes.
I mean, what do we do? We just say we don't like this, so start over? I mean, I don't know where in the process.
Well, you're right.
He is, or
yeah, we weren't asked. I'm guessing that this fell on Sean's lap to take care of, to find a way to make it accessible. And so I think that this is, it just kind of just snowballed from there, that it's just, they knew they had to have something. And so these plans were drawn up, and I think the original prices were a lot higher. So they streamlined it, cut down things. But I think we just have to go back to Mark on this and just say, look, we have to take a look at this with pandemic eyes now to see what this does in the future. So
well,
that's,
and not just pandemic eyes, like, aesthetic eyes, because it's not really a workable situation aesthetically, or even again with the railings and so on, it's not really optimal. And I don't, were they just cutting corners?
yeah, there's a lot of expense. Don't ask me why railings would be so expensive. They just are. It adds quite a bit. I mean, it's just the way these things, how they cost them out. But if you look at like the Lenox Library, beautiful historic building, that's a good example. They don't have the access. They didn't change the front. They put the handicap ramp on the side entrance.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the most common practice. So you don't ruin the aesthetic, the facade of the front of the building.
Right.
And that seems.
So what do we have to do? Who invites Mark to the meeting? Do you do that, or?
Yeah, I
Any
guess,
one of
Chris,
us?
you can send him a note, just say, our meeting second Thursday of June. And he's gonna say, what is this about? And we'll just say, well, we just need some next steps from him. We need to communicate. And one of the things is the access design for Ramsdale. So we'll start with that. And I think that what day is the town meeting on? It's not on that Thursday, is it?
It's on Monday.
On that week?
June. Yeah, I think it is that week.
Okay,
Well, no, wait, hang on. Because town meeting is June 6th. So June 9th would be if there's a second, if they needed a second night, it would be the night of the trustee meeting.
okay. All righty. Well, we have to maybe see what happens on that, but we'll have to have a June meeting at some point.
Yeah.
But anyway, but look at, this is gonna be, these are exciting times. This won't be boring. All this stuff is, things move slow and all of a sudden everything happens at once, right? And that's just life. Any other thoughts on this right now? Yeah, so Margaret, go ahead.
May I change the subject?
Sure.
And ask how the trustees are involved in the search for Amanda's replacement?
That'll be another Mark question. You
Yeah,
know,
he did mention that he was probably going to have a representative for the trustees, someone from the select board, and I asked him to also have a staff representative as well.
So just one trustee will be at the,
Yeah.
Amanda, do you recollect when when the library directorship was opened up? Do you remember who you met back then?
Mhm.
Was it only?
Town manager, select board member, and a trustee. So it was Jennifer, Ed, and Holly at that point.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that seems, why,
Does someone, excuse me, does someone volunteer to do it, or do we choose the trustee to go? Is it the chair?
I think at that point it was, well, though Ed was not the chair of the select board, so I don't know how that one worked. But Holly was the chair of the trustees at that point.
well, that's how they did it then, but why don't we, that seems like not enough people, frankly. So why don't we open this up? I mean, I think there should be a minimum of 2 trustees. We need as many voices on this as possible. And even with the community, it seems like we've got some very, very smart people. Or maybe more
I think
trustees.
that Margaret would be a great candidate for this because, right, Margaret, you have a background in libraries already. Seems like you would be a good person to be involved in that.
oh, okay. Surely there should be more than one round of interviews.
Yeah, when I did it, there were 2. We had 2 rounds.
With
It
the
would be
same
great.
people, or?
It was the same people.
There should be one round that's you meeting with the staff.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah, okay, well, let's, I'll check
So
with
who
the.
makes that decision?
well,
Mark.
what I'll do
Mark
first
is the hiring authority.
Yeah.
So
What
definitely
I'll-
start talking with him.
Yeah, I'll go back to the library commissioners and say, what is the common practice at this day and age for these selections? Because I think it's probably a pretty exhaustive process, I
Mhm.
think. And, again, Barrington tends to just do things, they do their own thing. So I think I'll check with that, and that'll be compelling if we find out it's a robust situation. Mark won't say no to that, I don't think, if we can back it up with something. So let me check, that'll be easy. And what I'll do is, I think that I can forward the information to everybody. It's not an open meeting law issue, because we're not gonna vote on that, I don't think. Because otherwise, we're in the same boat of having to wait, which is ridiculous. So, or maybe Mark can send it out. Maybe I'll talk to him, because he might be able to send it out, but he's not voting. So let me do that. Great question, Margaret. And yeah, let's see if we can make this, broaden the scope a little bit. Would be very helpful. Let me see, we probably.
Okay, Margaret, train's on its way to you.
Yeah. Okay.
You can hear it, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, it goes by my house, and I'm not much farther away from the tracks than you are.
Yeah. I love where you are.
Oh, that's funny. So we can move on here, but again, there's a lot to think about here, a lot going on, but it's all good. We're in it's like inspiration by desperation, right? We're losing Amanda. I mean, all of a sudden, we got to come up with some stuff here. Treasurer's report, we probably don't have.
I have it.
Oh, you have it. Okay. Excellent.
So essentially everything is on target. One of the things I did for Donna and Talia is I did all the May and June ordering so that everything will come, and they'll just have to take care of paying for it. There will be some funds that they have discretion to spend, depending on what gets released. But everything's right on track. And there is some, like, I always budget in a cushion just in case for end of year, because sometimes prices change or whatnot, but they're in good shape for that. We lots of out-of-state fees. I think that's the most we've ever collected from Mason for out-of-state fees, which is great. Fines and copier fees are still going up now that we're open. No interest on the trusts yet, so we've got interest through March, and they're done quarterly, so there'll be another bunch. State aid, I have not seen the second payment come in yet, but that does sometimes take time because it's the whole banking system between the state and the town is weird. But otherwise, everything is in good stead. And Margaret, I will try and send you an email that kind of runs down the treasurer's duties.
Thank you.
But they are pretty easy. It's like signing the warrants when they need to be signed, and then
Right.
just keeping an eye on the money and reporting back.
Okay.
That's it?
That's it.
Okay. So buildings and grounds is there, we've covered some of that. Lauren, is there any update from the statue project?
Not really. I mean, did I report last month about that the historical commission did see the group doing the statue?
No, I think that
So
was
they
after,
did. Okay, so they did
that was after the
give
meeting.
they did give the go ahead on it. So they are going in front of the select board at the next I think a select board meeting in early June. I think maybe after town meeting. I don't know why that is, but anyway, that's when they're going to go in front of the select board.
Lauren,
Again,
I didn't understand. Is the historic commission going for the select board or?
no.
Julie?
The Julie and Bobby and that, those people.
What are they taking them a design, or what are they just trying to get approval for the?
No, they need to get approval to go ahead with the project. So there's been they have signed on with Liana Toscanini as the nonprofit. So that's all set. They've got a bank account, but they can't start trying to raise money until they get the go ahead from the select board. That's the last hurdle for that part. Then they will start to raise money, put in the advertising for finding a sculptor, putting it out to bid. And then there's, there will be more work on the whole design. The design as it is now is not necessarily exactly what it's going to look like. They are probably going to have to go back to the historic commission again with any changes or updates to the design, and there will be some for sure. There was a lot of discussion about one of the ideas in the drawing. You guys have all seen the drawing. Well, maybe not Ruby and Carol, but they didn't like the whatever, the white stone or something that they had suggested, and we're talking about something more natural. But again, it's all stuff that will have to be revised on paper. This was just discussion. So there'll be revisions, and of course then we'll see what the different sculptors come up with. And then there will be I don't remember, there's all the different committees. And one of them is the I've forgotten what she's calling it, but basically the arbiters of good taste. the people who will decide what is going to be looks the best, most appropriate, beautiful, whatever. So, but there's a committee for that as well.
Carol's got a question here.
Lauren, I just would love to be part of this process. If there's room for another trustee to be part of it, how would I go about doing that?
I don't know. What are you thinking? Because I don't know that
I
they
just
felt that
would
they need
love to help make it happen and be part of whatever, I mean, what's the role of the trustees in this?
The role of the trustees was really that we gave it our blessing, and that's already happened. We don't really have.
Okay, so
any,
we're really not
power.
we're not part of the committee that's going to make it happen.
No, and
Okay.
I am just the liaison.
Okay.
So
I just needed that clarified because I wasn't sure if we need, they needed our approval as well because it's involved with the, the property of the library.
right, yeah. Oh, the approval has already been given, even though we didn't. It was really just like figurehead approval. Like, yeah.
Well, anyway, if you could if I could at least see what's being proposed, it would be great. I would just love to be part of the process any way I can because I just.
Okay, well, I will. Let's see. Do we have? How am I gonna? I need the email addresses for Ruby and for Carol. Well, I guess they're probably on the email from tonight. I'll email you.
I didn't get an email, so I have not had any communication at all from anyone. So
Well,
I would
how did you
appreciate
get onto the Zoom meeting?
it through Eileen Mooney's newsletter.
Wow. I think we must have a wrong email for you then. 'Cause I
Okay,
think,
well,
Right,
maybe
that's how I got on too.
I
Oh,
did not get any email.
I didn't get
No-
anything from Pat.
oh, I did. Huh.
No, I've had no communication at all.
well, let's see
So
here.
I would like the emails of everyone if that's possible, just so I know how to communicate if I need to.
Well,
Yeah, it
yeah,
was
we
on-
usually
It
have
was on the email
everybody.
link that went out, so I don't know. Amanda, do you have handy what email that was used for Carol?
I know you got my director's report because you replied back.
Yes,
So
I
everybody's
did.
email should be attached to that email.
Right, yeah.
Oh, yeah, Pat,
that
you know
too.
what? What you sent to Jennifer Messina, Catherine Couch, Amanda, Kathleen, Chris, me, and Jane Stanhope.
Ah,
So you didn't send it to all
Okay, my
all the
fault.
right
To the
people.
newbies.
that's my
That's
fault.
why they
Me.
didn't get it.
Sorry about that. But Amanda, the director's report she sent out, that has everybody's email on that.
Yes.
And so we know those are correct. Then Ruby, did you get that from Amanda?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, yeah, so that was my fault on that part of it. But you have, all the emails are right there.
Great.
So Lauren, so to that question, you could just forward Ruby and Carol, just the last iteration of things that we already saw.
Mhm, right. That's
That
what
would
I'll
be
do.
good.
Yep.
Thank you. Let's see, this is a good chance for, is there anything else anybody wants to cover? Any questions?
We do have to approve the minutes from April.
Exactly. And so obviously, let me see, this is kind of an odd thing because do we have a quorum for that? One, two, I guess,
But I don't think
yeah,
Carol
so
and Ruby haven't had a chance
obviously-
to review them.
yeah, so.
I have actually. I have read them, Chris.
Great.
Okay, so let's, I guess, Chris, go ahead. We can.
All right, so I need a motion to approve the April minutes.
Motion to approve the April minutes.
Thank you.
Lauren.
And a second?
Second,
All right. Carol,
Yes.
Margaret,
yes.
Patrick,
Yes,
Lauren,
Yes.
Ruby,
Yes.
and
Although
myself.
I didn't read the minutes.
okay, so you can abstain
You can
then.
abstain.
Okay,
I'm saying,
All right, and I approve, so motion passes.
great, thank you. Any further business? We know, Ruby, you've got a 6:30 meeting, right?
yeah.
Yeah, okay. If there's nothing else, we're gonna reconvene on the second Thursday of June, and we'll try to get Mark in here for that, and we should have some more answers. But again, in our final seconds here, Amanda, again, it's just weird to say goodbye. So I think we won't say goodbye. We're just
That
gonna say
works.
thanks again. And we'll stay in touch with us, at least online.
Definitely.
You know, that's where we'll be. And again, if you can put together some thoughts at some point for us, that's going to be really very valuable to us, I think. So we wish your family good health in these days. That's right up in the list, isn't it?
Definitely.
And a lot of happiness and probably more warm weather than we ever see here.
Yes, I will not miss the winters.
Yeah. Anybody else have any thoughts or anything for last words for Amanda here?
Well,
No?
I do hope that you will actually keep in touch and send pictures.
Definitely.
The sky out there is just amazing.
Yes.
Yeah, here's to you, Amanda. Thank you so much for your time and support and all your great work.
Well, same to all of you. Thank you. It has been a pleasure, and I know it has been quite a journey.
By the way, when are you actually going? When are you moving?
Probably the mid-June. I'm starting my new position May 23rd remotely, but then we're kind of trying to let Amelia finish as much of school as possible. And then, yeah.
Right. Wow. So
Yeah, and then put the house on the market and all that fun stuff.
right. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'll
Again,
be
it's hard
around
to
for a
say-
bit more.
Good. Yeah, we won't be saying goodbye here. So I guess we can, is there a motion to adjourn?
Do we have any citizens?
No, there's nobody
Yeah.
left.
All right, just wanted to make sure. I'll move to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Carol,
Aye.
Margaret,
Yes.
Patrick,
Yes.
Lauren,
Yep.
Ruby,
Yes.
and myself. All right, we're adjourned.
Thanks.
Have a
Amanda,
good evening.
Bye, Amanda.
I will see you all.
Thank you. Best
Okay.
wishes.
Safe travels.
Thank
Okay,
you.
yeah, safe travels. Good night, everybody.
Good night.